Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Lorelei Shamayo, and this is MeWe Fairs for energizing body, mind, heart, and soul. We have events throughout the Northwest and many online, and we interview our practitioners and vendors so you get a chance to know who we are before you meet us at an event. I'm excited to be here today with Taylor Elwood and Joanna Brooke of Brightheart Alchemy Guides. It's lovely to be with you. So tell me about who you are and what you do and how you work together and all those things.
Hi, I'm Taylor Elwood. I am an established author who's written a number of books on magic. And I also do dual deck oracle card readings where I take two different decks and use them for the reading in order to provide clarity and focus, and also at the same time create direction to help the person manifest whatever it is they're getting a reading about.
And I am Joanna Brooke, and I am a medium to contact your beloved dead, and also a reader of traditional tarot cards.
Well, so how did you all meet and how did you start working together?
We met at a local spiritual, well, it's really a spiritual experiment. It's a church called Alluvium, which is a non-denominational, non-religious church. And we were there at a deep discussion that was actually an artist's talk. And I was really impressed with how out Taylor is about being a magical practitioner and having written all these books on magic, because I think even for those of us who do things like the MeWe Fair is still sometimes out in public, we can be a little bit, shy about saying, yeah, I'm a tarot card reader and that's what I do professionally. So it's a process, and I was really impressed with that about him. And and then he asked me if I wanted to hang out, and we quickly realized that it was a date when we did hang out. So
And then we discovered we had a lot of mutual interests beyond that. So we discovered that, for example, we both had been doing readings professionally. And so at that point, it kind of became a realization that we could combine forces and open a business together, which has been a long held dream of mine, as well as Joanna's, to actually have a collaborative partner to do this kind of stuff with. So we're really excited and happy to be attending your events together and doing readings and helping people with their lives.
yeah.
Oh, great. Well, so Taylor, how did you discover that you're interested in magic and how did this emerge into being your work?
I was 16 years old, actually, and I was at the time I was reading a fantasy book, and I had this kid come up and tell me this wild story about how he had astral projected and encountered demons, and he was trying to freak me out because he noticed I read fantasy books. The last thing he expected is that I would turn and say, "Where can I learn more?" So the next day he brought books in and I started reading them and devoured them and really got into magic. And as a result, I've been practicing for 30 years now. And I actually, let me show you, I brought a few of my books out to show today, show and tell day here at Casa Brightheart Alchemy Guides. This is my book, The Magic of Writing, which I've written. And then I have a book on walking with spirits. I'm actually going to be doing a talk at the upcoming Portland event on how to work with spirits. So this is just some of the many books that I've written, and I've always been experimenting and exploring with magic, and actually my method for doing readings has come out of that kind of exploration and experimentation, where I take two different decks and use them at the same time for the reading.
Maybe could you talk a little bit about what magic means to you? Because I think there are so many different interpretations, and I'm thinking you're using it in a way that's slightly different than the historical, like American culture.
So what magic means to me is that magic is is a spiritual practice that empowers people and allows them to do deep internal work and connect with the world around them and build collaborative relationships. It can help us get results that we want to achieve. But I think ultimately it teaches us how to connect and build a community in the world around us and with the spirits and everything else. And that's something that we need to do in order to help heal the planet and help heal ourselves, as humanity's overall role is shifting and changing with the times.
So it's really like magic connected with
Yeah.
spirituality as opposed to tricks. Is that?
Totally.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And Joanna also practices magic and does ceremony and rituals.
This
So
is a
yeah.
this is an interesting thing that in my response to when Taylor asked me, do you practice magic? And I said, well, I do moon ceremony, I do rituals, I do, I've been trained, I'm an ordained minister in the Seven Sisters Circle, which is an eclectic pagan tradition. And so all of those things could be seen as being a practitioner of magic, but I really feel like this is just the way that the world works, when we practice aligning ourselves with, for example, the phases of the moon and set our intentions in alignment with what the cosmic, our cosmic relatives are doing, then that, can empower us to make the changes and grow in our lives in the ways that we really want to. I think that it has traditionally been seen as magic or occultism, but I feel like it's really just how the world works. And most of us have forgotten that, and some of us are starting to remember.
Great. And so when people come to your booth, right, because you're both there sharing your work, do people tend to work with each of you separately? Is there a way that you work together with people? What does that look like?
Well, so far, so we have done one MeWe fair together. And so we're really at the beginning of developing what our style together looks like. And so at the most recent fair, people generally were drawn to one or the other of us for a reading, or also for some healing work that we both do, energy work. But I certainly see in the future working together, especially for doing healing energy work. We can also interpret cards together. It's just really, the sky's the limit, and I'm excited to see how it all develops. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also really excited. It's a very special opportunity to get to work with somebody. I had actually kind of asked the powers that be to bring someone special into my life to work with, and so lo and behold, here she is.
Yeah,
Well,
I
so
also asked for the same thing, especially in relation to going to your fairs, Lorelei. I wanted someone to travel with and to set up shop with. I didn't know that it would be the kind of connection that Taylor and I have. So
yeah, I didn't
that's
realize that
an
it's like such a
added
new connection,
bonus.
and you're discovering what all of this is like right now, and we get to be part of this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I want to dive into your work just a little bit more, Taylor. So you said you use two decks. I don't know if other readers talking about using two decks. Is there anything maybe you want to share about that, about what you're doing?
Sure. I'll give you an example here. What I do, these are two decks right here, the Elemental Hexagon deck and Alchemy, Raymond Buckland's Alchemy deck. And I combine them together. So I might do a reading where I have it like this, and then I'll have another Elemental Hexagon. And I actually do this with a couple other sets of cards. And the reason I do it this way is that I find that the different decks actually can still refer to each other in a way. And I use one, I actually use it on the basis of the English language. I use the elemental hexagon decks as nouns, people, place, events, things. And I use the alchemy deck as adjectives or verbs or adverbs, basically where it's describing like an action or something. So it's a way to frame it in a manner that conceptually shows, okay, here's the thing that you're at, and here's what's going to take you there. And by using different decks, they speak to each other, and it opens up the paths of possibility. And what I like about this kind of work is that I've actually set it up so that it's an active magical working for the person if that's what they want. So it's not just a reading of things. It's well, here's a path that can actually help you manifest this change that you're seeking to move forward into your life.
Great, great. Are there particular themes that people tend to come to you for? Is the whole range of things, and you have both of you?
I would say it's a whole range of things. I mean, when I've had people do readings about health, love, career, other things, but and really, and sometimes just general readings. But what's really fascinating to me is that each time the readings are unique, because of course people are unique, but also because of the way the cards themselves speak to the situation and what they reveal.
Great.
I find that I get a lot of folks seeking readings on relationship and family. I think that may have to do with my ability as a medium in contacting folks' beloved dead. And so, although people do come to me for life transitions and other big questions that they have in terms of their goals and values, a lot of times it has to do with their relationships or parents checking in on their minor children. That's something that often comes up in tarot readings for me. So I do feel comfortable reading about kids who, are under the age of 18. I don't read for someone who's not present if they're actually an adult, of course.
Yeah. And I guess, do people come to you sometimes specifically for mediumship and sometimes for card readings, or does like mediumship just show up sometimes in the middle of, like, how does all that work?
Oh, so I do mediumship separately from the card readings, and I do mediumship somewhat differently than most people. I ask for the name of the person that they want to contact and the date of birth or death. I find that if I open a channel just generally, I'm not perfectly comfortable with that because there's a lot of different types of spirits that can come through. And I have a gift for being able to reach out and call a very specific beloved who has crossed over. And they show up, I hear their voice and I can relay exactly what they want to say. I did this recently for a mom who had lost her teenage son. And so he said some things that were, kind of vulgar. He used like foul language, which is not the easiest for me, but she was like, he was always saying the F word all the time. He did it to bother me. So yeah, so I do keep that separately from the tarot. I think that as we work together and that as we grow as practitioners, even though we're both, Taylor's been doing this for 30 years, I've been reading tarot for 20 years, we're fully mature and professional, but we still have a lot of development that is possible. I may end up channeling other spiritual entities or spirit guides, but at the moment, I only reach out for a specific loved one who has crossed over.
Okay, I see.
Like a phone call to heaven. Yeah.
That's right. I know you and I have done an interview before, so there's more information about you that other people can go watch. Is there anything else that you want to share about your background here and how you emerged to do this work and in the context of the two of you?
Well, I would say, that one thing that I found fascinating is that uh, in terms of our spiritual beliefs and how we came together is that we both have this connection with spirit in general, with deity and things like that. And I think sometimes when you have something like that bring you together, then you can't really know what the path is going to fully be. There's a mystery there, but you know that you've been brought together for a greater purpose. And I definitely feel that with Joanna, that we're working together toward a greater purpose. And one of the things that we've been talking about is, how we can do this work to help community in general heal and grow, because the world right now, there's a lot of stuff going on that isn't so positive. And so we want to be a positive force. And that's one of the reasons why the name of our business is Brightheart Alchemy Guides, because it's really about bringing out that brightness, but also the alchemy of transformation.
I absolutely agree. One thing we found that we have in common is that we both have worked with the goddess Aphrodite, and we have both had very significant life-changing experiences with the actual physical ocean. So this is something that we have in common, and it's a theme that this sort of underpins all of our work, is that love and that element of water.
Great. It's so exciting, all of what's happening and the transformation and evolution of both of what you're sharing in the world. And yeah, exciting that we get to be part of this. So if we
And
want to find
I
you,
would love to do an interview like this with you again in another few years and see
That's-
where we're at and what
Yeah.
things have developed into.
it might be
Yeah.
like a year and a half or something like that. Yeah, it just feels like a lot is shifting and changing
Mhm.
quickly. Well, so if people want to find you
Yeah.
online, is there one place right now or are there 3 places? Like, how do people
Mhm.
find you? Go ahead, tell me about all of them.
If you go to brightheartalchemyguides.com, you can actually visit our website there, and we have that available. And then we also have, if you go to biosite.alchemy or Brightheart Alchemy as well, that kind of gives us a link to all the different resources where you can find us on the social web and things along those lines.
Okay, great,
Yep.
great.
So one location, and then it can go out to all of our separate things as well. So, yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited. And yeah, we get to just explore all this together.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Lorelai.
We're so
You're
happy to
welcome.
be at MeWe with you.
Mhm.
And for all of you listening and watching, you can find out about all of our events at mewefairs.com and look for the page on our interviews so you can find the other interview with Joanna as well. Thank you.